My name is Ethan Feinschreiber, and I have a passion for educating the world about snakes. This is a water snake. These aquatic snakes are some of the most common serpents that inhabit the state of Louisiana. People usually see these more than other snakes because they're always out on the move looking for something new to eat, because they have a particularly speedy metabolism. Earlier this season, I featured what is arguably the most common water snake in Louisiana, the broad-banded water snake. But Louisiana is home to more than just banded water snakes. It is home to actually 6 species of water snake, including the very first species of snake I ever caught with my own 2 hands, the Diamondback Watersnake.
So this is the Diamondback Watersnake. So they get much bigger than this, and this one's in shed, so it's about to shed its skin and it's gonna look beautiful. The way you can recognize a Diamondback Watersnake from other species is the fact that they're very big and bulky, their eyes are very toward the front of their head, and they have these diamonds on their back. Though these markings can be fairly distinct when out of shed, it still helps it camouflage really well when it's just sitting there in the branches over the water. Easy escape route. If it ever feels like it needs to, because it can just plop right into the water, and they're really good at swimming. In case you didn't know, not all snakes are egg-laying snakes. In fact, this right here actually gives birth to live young just like us humans. Do these snakes make a good pet? Absolutely not. Water snakes are terrible pets. They need water, lots of water. It's like keeping a turtle, which I do not recommend as a pet. They're very difficult to keep because of how much water they need to swim around in. You need to feed them fish, you need to feed them other invertebrates like crayfish. They're not like your average snake that you feed frozen thawed mice to. It's just not that kind of snake. And they get fairly good size, so you need a big, big enclosure. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to educate yourself on the Diamondback Watersnake, and I'll see you next time with possibly an even cooler snake.
After getting to know a little bit more about water snakes, I learned that if there was one water snake species I really wanted to see in Louisiana, it was this, the Mississippi green water snake. And it took me 3 trips to Louisiana before I got to see my first.
I am really excited about this one. This is a snake I've wanted to see actually ever since I started herping here in Louisiana. This is the Mississippi green water snake. Now, they of course get their name because unlike the other water snakes, they do have much more of a greenish tinge instead of a typical brownish tinge. And that's one of the things I love about these snakes. Unfortunately, I'm colorblind, so I can barely even tell the difference. Their pattern is extremely faded, very hard to see, and the bellies of these guys are really where that green shines through. The green is really apparent on this snake's face. Now, unfortunately, I was not the one who found this snake. A friend of ours was the one who found it, and what was really interesting is he found it actually sitting under a rock instead of actually out and about, which is pretty unusual. Now, these guys, like other water snakes, get decent size, but I've not really heard of many specimens getting over 5 feet. I think these guys typically are like a 4.5, 5 foot snake at biggest, but typically are seen at around 2 feet. But like other water snakes, they are piscivores, meaning that they eat fish. Around here, the other water snake species you're very likely to see is the banded water snake. Those two typically hang out in the same spot. These guys are actually normally an uncommon water snake. This is one of the rarer water snakes to find in most of their range. For example, these guys are not found just here in Louisiana. They also go all the way as far north as South Illinois. Around the central and northern part of their range, they're a bit harder to come by, and I've heard they're actually pretty rare in places like Tennessee. But down here in Louisiana, it's actually one of the most common water snakes to come across. And another thing I just noticed about this snake is their bellies it's almost clear near their head, and then it just kind of starts getting speckly and darker as you work your way toward its tail, which I think is really fascinating. Do these guys make a good pet? And the answer is no. Like all other water snakes, these make absolutely terrible pets, but a very, very fun snake to see in the wild. This one bit me, of course, like all the water snakes do. I'll see you guys next time, possibly even cooler snake.
Finding something less active than a water snake is always exciting because they simply don't move around as much as a water snake. But when all is lost, and I don't seem to find anything, I always just head toward the water, because these guys are practically always there waiting for me. If you enjoyed this episode of Snakes on the Brain, let me know by giving this video a like, and if you want to learn about other snakes I've caught, make sure to subscribe.
Snake, and I'll see you in the next one with pasta. Oh my god, a garter! Ribbon. And I'll see you next time with my lifer. Ow! Jeez.